So a couple weeks ago, I put out some videos on facts about every single Galar Pokemon, effectively completing my long-standing series on facts about every single Pokemon in existence. That series has been one of my favorite all-time series that I've ever done on the channel, to the point where even though we have covered all of the Pokemon, I really don't want it to end, which is why I have decided today to continue that series looking at some different type of characters in the Pokemon universe. I decided that if we can make a series out of covering facts on every single Pokemon, that we could do the same thing for all of the really interesting human characters in Pokemon as well, starting first and foremost with the gym leaders. The gym leaders in Pokemon are some of the most iconic, important, and recognizable characters in the series, and certainly have a lot of interesting facts to be had about them, just the same way that the Pokemon do. So in this video, just the same way I did with the Pokemon, I am going to be covering 69 facts about every single one of Pokemon's gym leaders that is currently in existence. We'll be covering one unique fact about every single gym leader currently in existence, all the way from Kanto in Generation 1 to Galar in Generation 8. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right in. Starting of course with the Kanto gym leaders, Brock is the very first gym leader that you face in the Kanto based games. However, originally, according to some concept sketches by Ken Sugimori, Brock actually wasn't originally planned to be the first gym leader in Red and Blue. Instead, it was this guy who is speculated to have been the original gym leader for Viridian City's gym as well. Misty has a TCG card whose original version was effectively banned outside of Japan for featuring Misty naked. The Misty's Tears card art originally showed a side view of a naked Misty along with her Staryu, which pretty understandably was changed for its English release to something much more tame. In Pokemon Yellow, because it is inspired by the Pokemon anime, Lieutenant Surge only has one Pokemon on his team, that being Raichu, which makes him the only gym leader to have been battled with only one Pokemon on their team. Also in Pokemon Yellow, Erica's sprite was changed from its original Red and Blue counterpart to correct a very minor yet very important detail. In her original sprite, her kimono was actually crossed right over left, which is a style that is reserved for dead people at their funerals. As such, her sprite in Yellow was updated in order to correct this, properly showing her kimono crossing left over right instead. A very interesting thing about Koga in relation to another Kanto gym leader, Sabrina, is the fact that Koga uses a Venomoth on his team in all of the games in which Sabrina does not use one on her teams, and vice versa for Sabrina as well. Koga's daughter Janine, who takes over for him when he becomes an Elite Four member in the Generation 2 games and their remakes, has a team of Pokemon that are actually the lowest leveled of all of the Kanto gym leaders in those games, which is most likely reflecting her status as the newest gym leader in the Kanto League. In the original Pokemon Red and Green that only released in Japan, there's actually a glitch that allows you to receive the Marsh Badge from Sabrina even if you lose in your battle against her, simply by returning to the Saffron City gym and talking to her. However, this glitch was fixed for the international release of Pokemon Red and Blue. The design of Blaine was actually changed very late into the development of Pokemon Red and Blue, as in his artwork from Red and Blue, we see Blaine with hair on the sides of his head, while also having no sunglasses or mustache, but in his sprite from those same games, we see him with a completely bald head while also wearing sunglasses and having a mustache, and by the time Pokemon Yellow rolled around, we saw him with a revised piece of artwork which showed him with his now current design. According to info from the Pokemon Red and Green beta that was leaked last year, Giovanni was actually originally going to be a flying type gym leader, which is why his badge looks like a feather despite being called the Earth Badge. Taking over for Giovanni, not only is Blue the only character so far that has been both a rival, champion, and gym leader, but he's also the only gym leader who shares his name with the badge that he gives out, as the Earth Badge is actually called the Green Badge in Japanese, and Blue's name in Japan is also Green. Moving on to Johto, despite the fact that Johto is tied with Kanto for the most flying type Pokemon of any generation with 19, Falkner uses 2 non-Johto Pokemon in his initial gym battles for both the original Gold and Silver and their remakes. This fact is made even worse when you consider, like I said, that Kanto also has 19 flying types, but Falkner uses 2 Pokemon from the same evolution line in Pidgey and Pidgeotto. It has always been puzzling to fans whether or not Bugsy is supposed to be male or female. While he is officially classified as male, even the games sometimes don't know for sure, as in Pokemon Crystal, nearly every trainer has their gender listed in the data of the games for the purpose of dialogue, and Bugsy is mistakenly identified as female here as well. A very obscure reference, or at least a very interesting coincidence, comes from one of the relatives of the gym leader Whitney. In the anime, she has an uncle named Milton who runs a Miltank dairy farm, and in the games, Moo Moo milk from the Miltank is especially noteworthy. Given this, it's possible his name might have some kind of connection to Milton Hershey, the founder of Hershey's chocolate. This is because when Hershey started making his chocolate, he wanted to use fresh milk in his recipe, which was practically unheard of at the time. To do this, he purchased a bunch of farmland in order to have a large supply of cows, and therefore fresh milk, in what would become Hershey, Pennsylvania. So given the fact that these two not only share a name, but both operate farmland, with milk being an iconic part of both of their stories, Moo Moo milk for Pokemon Milton and the emphasis on fresh milk for Milton Hershey, this is, if nothing else, a very interesting and bizarre coincidence, but could also be a legit reference. In some of his early designs, Morty was actually known as Enoki in Japanese, which is the Japanese name of the Chinese hackberry tree. There is also a legend involving this tree where foxes would gather under it on the eve of the new year and form ghostly-like lights known as the Kitsunebi, which obviously connects back to Morty as a ghost-type gym leader. The gym leader Chuck is most likely named after Chuck Norris, given his status as a fighting-type gym leader, and Chuck Norris also being a martial artist. In Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, as well as Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, if you participate in a contest, you are actually able to see Jasmine along with Whitney and Price amongst the crowd in the audience. And speaking of Price, Price is the only gym leader whose highest leveled Pokemon, Piloswine at level 34 in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, is actually at a lower level than the highest leveled Pokemon of the gym leader before him, who is Jasmine's level 35 Steelix. This also occurs in the originals as well, where Piloswine is level 31 compared to Jasmine's level 35 Steelix. Claire is actually the only gym leader to have been seen in the English dub of the anime before the original Japanese airing. This is because during the opening, Born to Be a Winner, it actually featured clips of Claire that were exclusive to this opening and not shown in Japan. This opening first aired on August 18th, 2001, and Claire did not make her debut into the anime in Japan until almost a year later on June 6th of 2002. Moving on to Hoenn, the Rock-type gym leader Roxanne has actually used every single fossil Pokemon family that was introduced at the time that she was introduced in Generation 3. In Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, Brawly is actually the only gym leader who does not use a fully evolved Pokemon in gym battles, if you count the fact that Roxanne's Nosepass at the time was also fully evolved because it had not yet received its Generation 4 evolution in Probopass at the time. A pretty interesting coincidence between Watson and Lieutenant Surge is that not only are both of them the third gym leaders in their respective regions, but both also use electric-type Pokemon, and both use blockades within their gyms that have to be removed by the use of various switches. Flannery's grandpa used to be a member of the Hoenn Elite Four, and while he is never seen in the games as of yet, he does appear in the anime as Mr. Moore. A quirky thing about this appearance is that he tends to dress up in disguises just like Blaine, who is a fire-type gym leader just like Flannery. In the anime, Norman has a son named Max who bears a striking resemblance to the school kid trainer class from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, as well as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and according to an interview with Tsunekazu Ishihara, Max's design is actually the result of a discussion he had with Satoru Iwata, and overall, his design is actually based on Iwata's son. Winona's German name, Wibke, amongst other things, is also most likely a reference to the 1990 European windstorm of the same name, just spelled very slightly differently. An interesting inconsistency occurs with Tate and Liza that also has to do with Phoebe of the Elite Four. In the manga, the old couple who guard the red and blue orbs at the top of Mount Pyre are Tate and Liza's grandparents. However, in the games, it is heavily implied that they're actually the grandparents of Phoebe, since Phoebe goes there to visit her grandma, who is implied to be the old lady of the same couple, who seems to have since passed away. Meanwhile, Wallace is currently the only gym leader at this point that gives the player an HM as a prize for defeating him, as opposed to the standard TM. The other gym leader from the Sootopolis gym in Pokemon Emerald, Juan, is voiced in the anime by Sean Schummel, who is also the voice of none other than Goku from Dragon Ball. He also provides the voice for a number of other characters in the Pokemon anime, including Archie, Cyrus, and Lucario in Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. Getting into Sinnoh now, Rourke's gym badge, the coal badge, along with his father Byron's mine badge, are actually a reference to the term coal mine when put together. Additionally, both of them have mines that are next to their respective towns, with the Oreburg mine being next to Oreburg City, and Iron Island, which was once used as a mine, being close to Canalave City. Gardenia, thanks to her Roserade, is the only second gym leader in the Pokemon series currently that uses a fully evolved Stage 3 Pokemon. Maylene uses Pokemon that are both strong and weak against her specialty fighting type, as her Meditite is part Psychic type and her Lucario is part Steel. Additionally, defeating her allows the player to use Fly outside of battle, a flying type move that is also strong against fighting types. Crasher Wake is currently the only gym leader who doesn't actually go by his real name, instead using a stage name which goes along with his identity of being a wrestler. During the gym battle with Fantina in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, she uses the phrase, "Never give up, never surrender," which is actually the catchphrase of the 1999 science fiction movie Galaxy Quest. Another interesting connection between Byron and his son Rourke is that both trainers use fossil Pokemon, as well as a member of the Onix family in their gym battles. In Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, every single one of Candace's Pokemon on her team are Pokemon that have distinct gender differences. Volkner has a lot of similarities with another gym leader from the Johto region, that being Jasmine. Not only do both of the cities that they reside in, Olivine and Sunyshore, have lighthouses within those cities, but also both Jasmine and Volkner are in those lighthouses when they are first introduced to the player. There is also something that is stopping both Jasmine and Volkner from battling you when you first meet them, as Jasmine's Ampharos is sick and there is a power outage in Sunyshore City that has to be taken care of before you can battle Volkner. Silent, Chili, and Cress all have a unique naming scheme in Japanese, as they are all named after different types of corn. Silent is named Dent from Dent Corn, Chili is named Pod from Pod Corn, and Cress is simply named Corn. This is obviously due to their gym being themed around a restaurant, but additionally they all come from larger words that use the prefix tri, referencing that there are 3 of them, such as trident, tripod, and tricorn, which is a hat that was commonly worn in the 1700s. Lenora debuted in the anime in the episode A Night in the Nacrene City Museum, which is most likely a reference to the popular book and movie series The Night at the Museum. Interestingly, the plots of both the episode and movie mirror each other heavily, as in the anime, the Nacrene City Museum is haunted thanks to a Yamask who has Egyptian origins, and in the movie, stuff in the museum comes to life every night thanks to an Egyptian artifact as well. It might seem like Berg's gym in Black 2 and White 2 just has your typical bug-type theme, however it actually has a very specific inspiration, as the interior design of the gym is actually based directly on the interactive sculptures of artist Ernesto Neto, which look almost identical to how they look in Berg's gym. In one of the memory link events from Black 2 and White 2, Alessa says, quote, "And don't call me Shirley," which is a reference to the 1980 film Airplane. However, this isn't some random Easter egg, as it is very specifically intended due to the fact that Alessa is talking to Skyla, who is a pilot herself, in this scene. Clay's name is actually pretty interesting, as even though it seems pretty straightforward as he is a ground-type gym leader, he is also one of the only more recent Pokemon characters to be named after something that is not plant-related, and even his own names outside of English all come from the names of various vegetables and other plants, which makes his English name just that much more unique. When it comes to Skyla, in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, there is a very small moment during the opening sequence of her sprite animation where the holster on her leg that is normally there is completely missing. An interesting fact about Bryson is that Bryson is currently the only Ice-type Pokemon specialist who uses a team that consists of only pure Ice-type Pokemon. Meanwhile, Drayden is currently the only gym leader in the history of the Pokemon anime who has never been seen losing a battle. Drayden's Oplucid City counterpart in Iris is also the only Unova gym leader who does not have some type of secondary occupation. For instance, this would include things like Skyla, who is also a pilot, Alessa, who is also a model, and Bryson, who is also an actor. When it comes to Cheren, admittedly I have mentioned this one before a while back, but for all of those who are new to the channel recently, I do think it's worth mentioning again because it is a good one. From Black and White to Black and White 2, Cheren loses his glasses that he wears in the original games, while in the same expanse of time, his counterpart Bianca gains a pair of glasses, and those glasses have rims that are the exact same color as those used by Cheren in the original Pokemon Black and White. Roxy's dad, the sailor in Burbank City who takes you to Castelia City, is known as Pop Roxy, possibly referencing the candy Pop Rocks. Marlin is voiced in the anime by Ted Lewis, who also voiced Tracy Sketchit. Giovanni was the original voice for James in the first couple episodes, and also did the voice for Yami Bakura from Yu-Gi-Oh! Getting into Kalos now, the name of the gym leader Viola cannot actually be entered into Pokemon X and Y for things like nicknames, for instance, due to the presence of the word viol in her name, which is French for rape. This is especially ironic when you consider that Pokemon X and Y take place in the Kalos region, which is based on France. Oddly enough, Grant is currently the only gym leader who does not participate in double battles who uses Pokemon that have the exact same level within his gym battle. So we all know that Karina's signature Pokemon is Lucario. Well, an interesting thing about her Lucario is that in the anime, the first 4 moves that her Lucario uses are actually the same 4 moves that the Lucario knows that she gives to the player in Pokemon X and Y. Ramos resides in Comarine City, which is actually pretty similar to the city of another grass-type gym leader, and that would be Erica and Celadon City. Not only do both cities play host to a grass-type gym leader, but both leaders in their respective regions are the 4th gym leaders in the lineup. Additionally, the names of both cities start with the letter C, they both house the game director, and they both have a hotel. Clement gets his name from lemon, just as most other characters also get their names from plant-based things. However, Clement's name has a little more to it, as lemons can actually be used as a battery, which ties back to Clement as an electric-type gym leader. So it can be found out by talking to NPCs in Pokemon X and Y that Valerie is actually originally from the Johto region. Well, in the Japanese version of the games, Valerie speaks with a Kyoto dialect of Japanese, which is actually where Ecruteak City in the Johto region is inspired by, which makes even more sense considering her attire and the fact that her signature Pokemon, Sylveon, is an evolution just like that of the Kimono girls who also reside in Ecruteak City. A fact about Olympia that is kind of sad for the rest of the gym leaders in Pokemon X and Y is the fact that Olympia is the only gym leader in X and Y whose Pokemon all have 4 moves in their gym battle, meaning that every other gym leader has at least one Pokemon that does not have 4 moves, which is actually pretty pathetic. On a more positive note, however, Wulfric's Avalugg at level 59 is actually the highest leveled Pokemon used by any gym leader prior to the player defeating the champion and entering into the Hall of Fame. And finally we arrive at Generation 8 and the Galar region gym leaders, because as you might know, Generation 7 didn't actually have any gym leaders, instead having trial captains. Anyway, starting off with Milo, Milo is the only Galar region gym leader not to use a Gigantamax Pokemon before defeating the game, and who actually changes their signature Pokemon. Not only that though, he is also the only Sword and Shield gym leader to have a different signature Pokemon depending on the version of the game, where in Pokemon Sword, his new signature Pokemon from Eldegoss is now Flapple, and in Pokemon Shield, it is Appleton. Believe it or not, Nessa's signature Pokemon Dreadnought actually changes its gender between battles, because in her gym battle and while battling with her in a max raid battle, her Dreadnought is male, whereas in the tournament battle at the end of the game and every subsequent rematch, her Dreadnought is actually female instead. The gym leader Kabu actually is not originally from the Galar region and instead is originally from Hoenn, the only gym leader in the Galar region to originally be from another region outside of Galar. This could actually be why his signature Pokemon Centiskorch has Japanese inspirations in a region based on the UK, since Hoenn is based on the Kyushu region of Japan. Every one of Bee's Pokemon on her initial gym team evolves with some type of special condition. Hitmontop evolves at level 20 when its attack and defense are equal, Pangoro evolves at level 32 when a Dark-type Pokemon is in your party, Sirfetch'd evolves when it lands 3 critical hits in a single battle, and Machamp evolves by trade. This also extends somewhat into her rematch teams as well, as of her 3 new Pokemon that were different from her initial team, 2 of them do not evolve, and the one that does, Graplocked, still uses a special condition, evolving from Clobopus once it levels up, knowing Taunt. In Japanese, Alistair's name is Onion, going along with the long-standing plant-based theme for Pokemon character names. However, in the case of Alistair, he was likely given this name specifically because he's such an emotional child, with a lot of layers to his character, just like an onion. In concept art of Opal that comes from the Collector's Edition strategy guide of Pokemon Sword and Shield, a young version of Opal can actually be seen. Bede changes his type specialty during the course of Pokemon Sword and Shield from Psychic to Fairy once he becomes the Balanlea gym leader. Not only is he the only character to change his specialty type during the course of a game, but going from Psychic to Fairy is also very fitting, since Psychic is the type that Fairy is paired with more often than any other type, being present in 8 total Pokemon currently. An odd thing about Gordy is that while he keeps his Pokemon in Ultra Balls during gym battles, he actually keeps them in Pokeballs during rematches with him. Melanie is one of the version-exclusive gym leaders in Sword and Shield, appearing in Pokemon Shield. Her counterpart in Pokemon Sword is her son, Gordy, which keeps an under-the-radar tradition of every region's gym leaders having at least one confirmed relative in the games. Koga has his daughter Janine in Gen 1, Claire in Gen 2 is cousins with Lance, Norman is your father in Generation 3, Rourke and Byron are father and son in Generation 4, Silent, Chili, and Cress are triplets in Gen 5, and Viola has her sister Alexa in in Gen 6. Even Generation 7, which doesn't have any gym leaders, follows this trend as the trial captain Sophocles is cousins with Molayne, a member of the Elite Four and the manager of the PC box system in Alola. Piers is the first and so far only Dark-type gym leader, something that fans thought would never happen due to the Dark-type being the evil type in Japanese and gym leaders being protagonist-like characters. With this in consideration, it's also noteworthy that Piers is also the evil team leader in the Galar region and also keeps up the tradition of evil team leaders using Dark-type Pokemon, giving him the perfect justification of being able to be a Dark-type gym leader while also keeping up the mantra of the dark/evil type. The rival turned gym leader Marnie was actually designed by Yusuke Omura, a freelance character designer who has worked on Pokemon games in the past, and who also designed Zacian and Zamazenta as well. This fact was also confirmed by Omura himself on Twitter when he made the announcement personally. A nice subtle connection involving Raihan and the trainers in his gym are that their uniforms actually resemble the outfit of Lance from Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The anime in Pokemon Sword and Shield even references this by having Lance say that his outfit was actually based on the uniforms of Raihan and his gym. And there we have it, everybody. That was a whopping 69 facts about every single Pokemon gym leader. Now, this was absolutely a ton of fun to do, and it was also really awesome to cover something like this that wasn't Pokemon like we're used to doing in this series. So if you guys enjoyed this video and you would like to see more videos like this for the other characters in Pokemon, be sure to leave a like and let me know down in the comments below all your thoughts about these facts. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content all the time, and you can support me further if you would like by checking out my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and giving my Pokemon Cardinal project a watch if you haven't yet. With all of that being said though, I'll be back on Tuesday with another video, so be sure to hit that notification bell so you can be notified as soon as it goes live, and with all of that being said, I hope you know I love you guys very much, and until the next one, as always, I will smell you guys later.